The rain was coming down in sheets, a cold, punishing drizzle that soaked through my thin coat as I stood outside that grand glass door. Inside, the hotel lobby glowed warm and golden, the kind of place where people sipped wine and laughed as if the storm didn't exist. My two little ones clung to my sides, their small hands icy in mine. I could feel their hunger, their exhaustion, as keenly as my own. We had been traveling all day, 5 hours from Houston by bus, just to get away, just to give them one weekend of something different, something good. I pulled open the heavy door and led them in. The smell of polished wood and expensive perfume hit me like a wall. Heads turned. I straightened my back. We deserved to be here just as much as anyone. The front desk gleamed under the bright lights. The manager behind it, tall, gray suit, hair slicked back, barely looked up as I approached. "Evening," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've got a reservation." He finally glanced at me. His eyes swept over my wet coat, my worn jeans, the two kids shivering by my side, his lips pressed into a thin line. He didn't even check the computer. "We're full," he said flatly. My heart sank, but I have a confirmation. Right here. I pulled out the printed email, the last thing I could afford this week. He flicked it with his fingers, glanced at it for barely a second. "Doesn't matter. No vacancies." I swallowed hard. "Please, we've been traveling all day. The kids are exhausted. It's already paid for." He leaned in, voice dropping low. "We don't rent to your kind here." I froze. The words cut through me sharper than the wind outside. For a moment, I couldn't breathe, my kind. My hands trembled as I clutched the reservation paper. Behind me, I could feel the other guests watching. No one said a word. He shoved the paper back at me. Expression cold and unreadable. "You'll have to leave, ma'am." Heat rose in my chest. Anger, humiliation, disbelief. I grabbed my kids' hands and turned on trembling legs, back into the storm, back into the dark, empty streets of Dallas. We wandered block after block, searching for another hotel, each one either too expensive or fully booked. The city felt cruel that night, every corner sharp and unwelcoming. Hours passed. I found an old bus station, its benches hard and cold. That's where we huddled for the night, my coat draped over them like a poor excuse for a blanket. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard his voice again. "We don't rent to your kind." I stared into the dim station lights, my mind racing. I had grown up hearing stories of this kind of hatred, of doors slammed shut for no other reason than the color of your skin. But this was 2025. My babies had to see something different. I had to be something different for them. A man sitting nearby, older, kind eyes beneath a worn cap, must have overheard my phone call to the bank. He leaned over. "Miss, I saw what happened. That ain't right. You know that's illegal." What he did, I looked at him, unsure what to say. He nodded, voice low. "If I were you, I'd fight. Don't let him get away with that, not anymore." His words lodged deep inside me, stirring something that refused to be quieted by fear or weariness. Maybe I could fight. Maybe this wasn't the end of the story. By the time the gray light of dawn crept through the station windows, my mind was no longer clouded with doubt. I had spent the night scrolling through my phone, reading articles, forum posts, legal blogs, anything that could tell me what to do next. There were laws, civil rights protections, stories of people who'd stood up, fought back and won. My children were still asleep, their small bodies curled against mine. I watched them, and the weight of it all crushed me again. They deserved better than this. They deserve to see their mother stand tall, not be broken by a man in a gray suit. I started calling attorneys, one after another. Most didn't answer. Some politely declined. But then, around 9 a.m., I reached a firm that specialized in discrimination cases. The woman on the other end listened carefully as I explained everything: my reservation, the man's words, how we were turned away into the rain. "Ms. Harris," she said, voice steady, "this is absolutely actionable, and if what you're saying is true, we can prove it." That small spark of hope flared. We agreed to meet later that morning. I scraped together the last of my cash for an Uber across town. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Karen, greeted me with a firm handshake and a warmth that eased some of the tightness in my chest. I told her everything. She took notes fast, asked pointed questions. "We need evidence," she said. "Solid, undeniable. It's your word against theirs right now. But if we can catch them doing it again, especially on video, we'll have a case they can't ignore." I blinked. "You mean go back there?" She nodded. "Not you. At least not yet. But I've got a guy works with us on these kinds of cases. Undercover. We'll send him in. He'll try to book a room. We'll see what happens." A thrill of fear and excitement coursed through me. Could we really pull this off? Karen explained the plan in detail. They would send several testers, some white, some black, each trying to rent a room at the same hotel. Everything recorded, every interaction documented. That afternoon, I found myself pacing a block away from the hotel, clutching my phone, heart pounding with each passing minute. The first tester went in white, casually dressed, no reservation. 5 minutes later, a text checked in, no problem. I stared at the screen, heat rising behind my eyes. Then came the second tester, black. Same approach, same story. The minutes crawled by. Finally, another message. Denied, said fully booked. It was happening. We were seeing it in real time, and I couldn't stop shaking. Karen was thrilled. "This is good," she said. "This is very, very good, but we need more. The stronger the pattern, the stronger the case." Over the next few hours, more testers went in, each result the same. White A room available, black no vacancies. My heart broke each time. How many others had been humiliated the same way I had? How many had just walked away, believing there was nothing they could do? I wasn't walking away, not this time. That night, back in the small motel Karen's firm had booked for us, I couldn't sit still. The kids had finally drifted off to sleep after dinner, their little faces soft and peaceful under the thin blanket. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone, fingers trembling, mind racing. The weight of everything, the injustice, the shame, the sheer exhaustion of it all threatened to drag me under. But something deeper kept me afloat. A stubborn fire I didn't know I had. I scrolled through social media, reading post after post about discrimination, about fighting back. Then I started typing, heart pounding. Yesterday, my children and I were turned away from a Dallas hotel because of the color of our skin. I need help. Legal help, community support, anything. I refuse to let this go. My kids deserve better. We all do. I hit post, not expecting much, but within an hour, messages started flooding and strangers offering support, sharing similar stories, tagging lawyers and activists. Then one message caught my eye. A verified account. A name I recognized from the news, Marcus Taylor, a tech entrepreneur out of Houston, known for his philanthropy and civil rights work. "Angela, just read your post. This is unacceptable. DM me. I want to help." I blinked at the screen, disbelief mingling with a new surge of hope. I messaged him right away, within minutes. We were on a call. His voice was calm, focused. "I've seen this too many times," he said. "I want to amplify your story, but we can't just tell it. We need to show it. I can bring media attention. I can bring cameras. If you're willing to go back with us tomorrow, we'll make sure the world sees exactly what they did to you." My breath caught. Go back, face them again. The thought made my stomach twist, but I knew this was bigger than my fear, bigger than me. "Yes," I heard myself say, "let's do it." Plans started moving fast. Marcus had contacts, journalists, videographers, influencers. The next morning, we'd gather just down the street from the hotel, cameras ready, mics hot, and this time, I wouldn't be alone. As dawn crept into the sky, I stood in the motel bathroom, staring at my reflection. Tired eyes, lined with sleepless worry. But beneath that, a determination I'd never seen before. I smoothed my hair, straightened my jacket. Today, they would see me. Today, they would see all of us. By the time the sun climbed over the Dallas skyline, the small parking lot a block from the hotel buzzed with energy. Marcus arrived first. Sleek black SUV pulling up beside me. He stepped out, tall and commanding, phone in hand, already coordinating with people I'd only seen on TV or online. Soon after came a local news crew, 2 reporters, cameraman, sound tech, rolling up with van doors sliding open. I barely had time to catch my breath before more people showed a livestream team Marcus had called in. Influencers with massive followings. A few civil rights advocates who had seen my post and volunteered to help. Suddenly, I wasn't just Angela Harris. A broke mom from Houston, I was standing with a small army, and that terrified me. Marcus placed a hand on my shoulder, grounding me. "You ready?" he asked quietly. I swallowed hard, forcing the fear down. "I am." The plan was simple: walk in together. Me at the front. Cameras rolling from the moment I entered. No shouting, no violence, just the truth. Captured for all to see. I held my children's hands as we approached the hotel. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might explode. The same glass doors gleamed ahead, just like 2 days before. Except this time, I wasn't alone. As I pushed the door open, the lobby seemed to fall into slow motion. Conversations stilled, heads turned. The front desk loomed ahead, the same cold manager standing behind it. His eyes widened when he saw me. For a split second, his mask cracked recognition, then panic. He glanced at the cameras, the crowd behind me. Marcus's live stream already climbing into thousands of live viewers. I stepped up to the counter, voice steady, though my legs felt like they might give way. "Good morning," I said clearly. "I'm here to check in. I have a reservation." For a moment, the man just stared, caught between the rules he'd lived by for years and the new reality pressing in on him. The reporters moved in closer, mics raised. The live stream chat blew up on my phone, comments flying faster than I could read. The manager licked his lips, stammering. "Ma'am, we may not." Marcus leaned in slightly, voice calm but loud enough for everyone to hear. "We're recording, Sir." The man's hand shook as he reached for the computer keyboard. A beat passed, then another. The lobby was silent, tension so thick you could cut it. My children clung to me tighter. And then his face crumpled. I'm going to have to call my supervisor," he mumbled, turning and disappearing into the back room. Cameras followed every move. Reporters whispered urgently. The live stream chat exploded. "He knows he's caught, shameful, stay strong." Angela. I stood there, spine straight, heart hammering. I had no idea what would happen next, but I knew one thing for certain: the world was finally watching. Minutes passed. The hum of voices in the lobby swelled as more guests filtered in. their eyes drawn to the scene unfolding at the front desk. The cameras never stopped rolling. Every second of that waiting felt stretched thin, my nerves vibrating under my skin. Then, the back office door creaked open. A different man emerged, older, dressed in a crisp navy suit. His eyes scanned the crowd, taking in the cameras, the reporters. Marcus, standing beside me, arms folded, expression unreadable. He approached slowly, hands clasped together. "Good morning," he began, voice forced steady. "I'm the regional manager. I understand there's been some sort of misunderstanding." I locked eyes with him, refusing to look away. "No misunderstanding," I said clearly. "I was denied a room 2 days ago. I had a reservation. Your employee told me on record that you don't rent to my kind. And now I'm here to check in. On camera, with witnesses." The manager's jaw tightened. "I see," he murmured, glancing nervously at the cameras. He forced a thin smile. "Of course, Ms. Harris. You are more than welcome here. Let me get your reservation pulled up." He motioned to the front desk employee, who had silently crept back out. The young man's hands shook visibly as he tapped the keyboard. Every beep of the computer echoed in my ears. My chest rose and fell with each breath. Behind me, Marcus leaned closer and whispered, "You're doing great. Stay with it." Finally, the screen flickered. The reservation, my reservation, was still there, still valid. "We'll have your room ready shortly," the manager said, voice stiff. "Please accept our apologies." Apologies. The word hung in the air, empty and meaningless. But the moment was captured every expression, every tremor of his voice, every camera angle. Marcus spoke then, voice ringing clear. "I think we can all see what happened here. I think the world deserves to see it too." He raised his phone, showing the live viewer count climbing past 200,000. The regional manager's face blanched. He stepped back, phone already to his ear, whispering furiously to someone higher up the chain. The press surrounded me now, questions flying fast. "Ms. Harris, how do you feel right now? Will you be taking legal action? What do you hope comes from this?" I swallowed hard, voice steady. "I just want my children to know we deserve to be treated with dignity, that we don't have to accept this." No one does. A wave of applause rose from the crowd activists, strangers, even some guests who had witnessed the whole thing. In that moment, standing there in the very place that had tried to humiliate me, I felt taller, stronger. This wasn't just about a hotel room anymore. It was about something bigger, about justice, about being seen, and the world wasn't looking away this time. By noon, the entire lobby buzzed like a hive. The news crew's footage was already being picked up by major outlets. I could see it happening in real-time, phones pinging left and right with alerts, live stream numbers climbing into the hundreds of thousands. Marcus showed me his screen Shackern stand with. Angela was trending on Twitter. People from across the country, people I'd never met, were watching this unfold, their voices rising in a chorus of outrage and support. Meanwhile, the hotel's corporate office must have been scrambling, not 10 minutes after the regional manager's panicked phone call. 2 more suits walked in, stiff and uncomfortable. They barely looked at me as they huddled with the staff. I could see it in their faces. They knew the damage was done. They were too late. The story was already out there, and the footage didn't lie. An assistant manager approached me hesitantly. "Ms. Harris, if there's anything we can do to resolve this." I met her gaze, unflinching. "You can start by treating your guests with basic respect. All of them," she stammered, unsure of how to respond, then retreated. The reporters swarmed again. What happens next? Angela, will you press charges? Are you filing a lawsuit? Karen arrived just then, sliding through the crowd with her briefcase in hand. She smiled at me, eyes gleaming. We've got everything we need, she said quietly. Multiple witnesses, video proof, live streams. They can't bury this. I could barely process it all. Just 48 hours earlier, I had been sobbing in a freezing bus station, feeling invisible. Now this, cameras, supporters, a community rallying around me. My kids tugged at my coat. I knelt, pulling them close, whispering, "You see? You never let anyone tell you you're less. You never let them win." Marcus caught the moment on his live stream, another wave of comments and reactions rolling in. By the time we finally stepped out into the sunlight, the crowd outside had swelled local activists, community leaders, even people who had driven in after seeing the story online. Applause broke out as we walked past. Someone handed me a mic. Cameras turned. I took a deep breath, heart pounding. "This isn't just about me," I said, voice ringing out clear. "This is about every person who's been told they're not good enough, who's been denied what they deserve because of how they look, where they come from. We're done staying silent." Cheers erupted. Reporters snapped photos, video rolling, and I knew then whatever came next. However long the fight, I wasn't alone anymore. The truth was out. And this time, there was no putting it back. The hours that followed felt like something out of a dream, a surreal whirlwind that swept me up and carried me far beyond anything I'd imagined. By late afternoon, major news networks were running the story on television and across their websites. Black mother denied, hotel room in Dallas viral, video sparks, outrage. My phone buzzed nonstop with calls, messages, interview requests. Karen and her legal team worked fast. That same evening, they filed an official complaint with the state's Civil Rights Commission and prepared a lawsuit against the hotel chain. The footage, the witness statements, the online momentum, it was all too strong to ignore. Marcus's PR team helped manage the media frenzy. He made sure I wasn't alone when reporters showed up at the motel we were still staying in. He even arranged a security detail, just in case. But what moved me most were the messages pouring in from strangers, mothers, fathers, students, workers, people from every corner of the country. Stories of their own experiences, words of encouragement, donations to help cover legal fees and support my kids. I read one message over and over again, tears filling my eyes. "Angela, you stood up when so many of us couldn't. Thank you. You're fighting for all of us." The next morning, the ripple effects spread further. The corporate office of the hotel chain issued a public apology. They suspended the manager who had denied me, pending an internal investigation. But it was too little, too late. The story had taken on a life of its own. A national civil rights organization reached out, offering to back our case. Politicians began commenting. I couldn't believe what was happening, how a simple act of standing up had grown into something this big. And in the midst of it all, my children, I caught them watching me with wide eyes, listening as I gave interviews, seeing how strangers treated me now. There was a new light in their faces. Pride, yes, but also understanding. They were learning that when someone tries to strip your dignity away, you fight, you don't shrink. One evening, as we sat together in the motel room after another long day, my daughter curled up beside me. "Mom," she whispered, "I'm glad you didn't give up." And neither was I. This was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, I knew we were going to be okay. In the days that followed, the city of Dallas seemed to transform before my eyes. Where once there had been indifference, blank stares, polite avoidance, there was now recognition, conversation, a sense that something was shifting. The lawsuit filing made headlines. National outlets picked up the story. I was invited onto morning shows, podcasts, live stream panels. People wanted to hear what had happened more than that. They wanted to hear how I'd fought back. But behind the cameras and the microphones, the real work was happening. Karen and her team pushed forward with the case. Civil rights leaders from across Texas offered their support, connecting me with allies, strategists, organizations who had long fought these battles. Marcus remained by my side, helping to amplify the message without taking over. "This is your story," he told me again and again, and it's powerful. People need to hear it from you. Meanwhile, donations continued to flood in. The fund Marcus had helped set up had grown beyond anything I could have imagined. Enough not only to cover legal costs, but to finally give my kids and me some breathing room food on the table, a safer place to live, even the chance for a fresh start. I found myself sitting at a cafe one morning, scrolling through messages, when a familiar face approached the older man from the bus station, the one who'd told me to fight. He tipped his hat with a smile. "Told you you could do it," he said softly. Tears pricked my eyes. "I couldn't have done it without your words that night," I admitted. He waved me off. "You had it in you the whole time. Just needed someone to remind you." The truth of that settled in deep. I'd spent so long believing I was powerless, just one tired, broke mom trying to scrape by. But standing up had shown me otherwise. And in doing so, I'd shown my children, and maybe even others, what was possible. One afternoon, as we walked through a small community event Marcus had organized, my son tugged my sleeve. "Mom," he asked, voice small but certain, "are you a hero now?" I knelt down to his level, brushing a hand over his hair. "I'm just your mom," I said softly. "But sometimes, when something's wrong, you have to speak up. That's how things change." He nodded solemnly, taking my hand, and in that moment, surrounded by friends, supporters, cameras still flashing in the distance, I knew this wasn't the end of our story, not even close. Because once you find your voice, once you stand tall in the face of injustice, you never go back to being silent again. If this story moved you, if you believe no one should ever be treated this way, then stand with us. Share this video, leave a comment, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that matter. Because when we speak up together, our voices can change the world. Let's keep the fight for justice alive, one voice at a time.